Hi everybody, welcome to Digital Visionaries. My name is Sean Broderick. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Rue Barry, who's the Senior Director of Product Management at Sitecore. Rue has many years of experience working with amazing brands across retail, telecoms and travel with brands like Emirates, Aer Lingus. Rue, it really is one of the foremost AI thinkers in Ireland today. He brings not only a great knowledge of product management, but also a really great sense of where the market is going and where the puck is going to, so to speak. So, Rue, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Sean. Lovely to be here.
It's great to be here in Dublin recording this. Let's take it back a couple of months, though, back to Nashville.
Yep.
And Sitecore Symposium, where we launched Sitecore Stream. Tell us a little bit about that launch and the impact that that's made on Sitecore.
I think it's been big, and actually the impact of Sitecore happened kind of before Symposium as well, right? So we needed to get to Symposium. We needed to have that point of view around the stream. We need to be able to communicate it very clearly. That all takes a lot of work in the background, obviously getting the kind of product research done, getting to the point where you can have a demo that you can show someone what you're talking about, being able to communicate the state of your ambition and where you want to be able to go. I think that's really important. And then having people have hands-on experience with what we're proposing is fantastic. And then having the launch, having Nestle there as well, really, really important for us. Having kind of co-developed a lot of those capabilities up to that point. So really important for us to get on stage. It was a very big stage. It was absolutely huge.
Quite literally.
Yeah, exactly. It's great to kind of have that as a kind of real turning point for us, both from a product perspective, from a marketing perspective, from the wider business perspective. We got a real chance to kind of put our mark out and say, this is where we're going. This is where we believe the market is going. And it seems like a long time, but the vision hasn't changed. It is still the ambition to kind of get there.
Yeah, and I think you saw the kind of splash that was made at Nashville and how many people really were there in the room, the kind of impact that it's had online and how much it's actually resonated with marketing teams. Tell us a little bit more about that vision and what was launched in November and how that evolves now as we look into 2025.
So we said on the stage of Symposium, the stream is kind of three things. Stream is brand-aware AI, it is generative co-pilots, and it is AI-enhanced workflows. And so what do those mean? For anyone who hasn't seen some of the demos or some of the collateral, brand-aware AI is really about supporting our customers to generate content and enable them to generate content that is aligned to their brand. And so users can go into Sitecore, they can create a brand kit, which is the foundation of knowledge for content creation. And so it provides a bit of a safe space, both for the user of AI, but also for the corporation and for our customers to be able to say, you know what, people who are building AI within our business, that's fully aligned to our brand. So the kind of brand-aware AI is important. That'll evolve over time. So right now it's very focused on brand because the majority of our customers are in the content and the CMS space, which is great. So content is really important. But that's going to expand over time. So knowledge is what we're really after. First to be brand, and then we'll expand that out into kind of other knowledge sources. That's the first one, brand-aware AI. The second one is generative co-pilots. And so these are kind of everywhere, all over the place in the industry at the moment, and they will continue to be. But those generative co-pilots for us, it's not about a chat interface. It's not about a chatbot. We've spent a lot of time thinking about our end users and where they are doing their work and how can we provide AI that is enabling them to be efficient and be collaborative in the work that they're doing. And the co-pilots are there interspersed across all the Sitecore products. And so whether you're a Content Hub customer, an XM Cloud customer, XP, XM, CDP, personalized search, it doesn't matter. There will be co-pilots available to your users to really help them get through their day, to be able to enable them to get in, get their job done, and get out. That's the second thing, the generative co-pilots, and they'll be across all the products. And actually, I'll pause for that for a second because the first one that we released back at Symposium was the brand assistant with Nestle. And I said they kind of helped us co-develop that. But that's a really important first kind of co-pilot for us because it allows our users to interact with a chat and really be able to ground that chat in the details of the brand and be able to help them reference details, make sure things are on the right tone of voice. And any of the content created is is aligned to the content that their business wants to create. And the third thing then was AI enhanced workflows. And so we talked about that at Symposium. We had a demo for anyone who was at Symposium for wanted to get hands-on experience. And that was really important for us. And the winter release will be the kind of first general availability announcement of that capability, which is what I think of as Sitecore really starting to put the chess pieces on the board around where we think this is going, and a real clear statement of intent for our ambition. And so AI enhanced workflows are about enabling marketers and technologists to be able to build, collaborate, and deliver in Sitecore. And today, when we release the kind of AI enhanced workflows, this kind of first part of that, it'll be around, creating tasks, being able to create projects, create campaigns, collaborate, comment. It'll be about understanding your kind of end-to-end content delivery and your marketing plans and how you're going to be able to manage those across products. But eventually that'll expand over time. And so today, a lot of those kind of tasks are done by humans. But over time, we do see the agentic part of that taken over. And so you'll start to see humans approving agentic workflows, or an agentic is essentially an AI capability that is doing a piece of work, and it's coming back to you and saying, this is what I've done. Is that okay? Can we move on? And it's the ability for humans to then offload some of those redundant tasks to an LLM, an agent, a copilot, to be able to do those things. And eventually, I think those will kind of chain together, and we'll have maybe entire workflows that are being done by agents for content creation, aligning that content to your brand, making sure the tone of voice is correct, and then coming back to the human later on and saying, here's the version, here's 3 versions.
Does this work?
Does this work? Do you like it or not? So that's what Stream is. It's those 3 things.
Let's dive into the brand aware AI piece, because for me, that is crucial to this, because as a marketer myself, you look at what ChatGPT and different LLMs and Perplexity provide you, and in the main, it's getting better, but it's homogenous content. It doesn't really reflect your brand, and it's the Wild West out there. Yeah. It's not really that safe. You have people throwing reams of corporate data into these LLMs, and that is being used to kind of train these models. Talk about that security aspect where you upload your brand kits, all of your brand heritage, all of your content and your knowledge into this kind of brand aware AI, and the kind of security that gives you as a brand.
Yeah. I think one of the main roadblocks to deploying AI in enterprise today is trust and trusted outcome. And so the brand aware AI is really important. So it grounds the models. And so when you're rolling out an AI into your organization, you really want to be able to understand, like, what are people doing? Where is the source material? And source material is critical. So sometimes, I'll use a ChatGPT or I'll use a Copilot, and I'll ask it to develop something for me, give me some data points from the internet, and it'll give me some stats. And then I'll say, where did that stat come from? And it'll say, oh, actually, that's a hypothetical stat. I'm sorry about that. I apologize. And that's not really acceptable for enterprise level content creation. And so the brand aware AI is important for our customers for kind of 2 reasons. One is that it ensures that the outcomes are aligned to your brand, right? So you as a customer, you come in and you create this brand kit. It can be from many documents: your brand guidelines, your tone of voice, your color palettes, anything that is important for you as a business to be able to say, actually, this is what our brand is about. And our brand aware AI consumes that and generates a reference data set, and says, actually, no matter what I come out with, it has to be grounded by this brand aware AI, and that can be evolving over time. So you can create more, you can edit it. That's all within the scope of it. But the important thing that we said at Symposium, and it's still true today, is that Sitecore will never train an LLM model on your data. Your data is your data. That's critical for all of our customers. They don't want their brand guidelines, their internal confidential data being used in the open, and that's not acceptable for them. And so we're not going to train those LLMs. The LLMs are great at generating content. And what we will do is we'll ground the responses from the LLM around the brand data that you've given us. Yes. So your brand data doesn't leave Sitecore. It doesn't go anywhere else. It's not shared with any other customer. It's not available in the open internet. It is just for you and your use only. And that I think is a big step forward for that trust element. Once customers understand that we're not there to harvest that data, we're not there to use that data for our own purposes. It's there for you to use. It is the differentiator in your business, and the LLMs are the equalizer.
When you talk about trust, you have this trifecta of Sitecore, Microsoft, and Nestle that co-developed everything that we saw at Symposium. And I think that's so crucial. You really outlined there why it's so important that we will never train your data. We'll never use your data to train our models, which I think is super crucial. When it comes to the co-pilot aspect, let's start to move it forward now. What are some of those co-pilots that are going to be specific to some of the people that are interested in XM Cloud, for example, or Content Hub? What are those things that are going to augment those existing Sitecore products today and make them attractive to our existing base and maybe some prospects as well?
Yeah. So the first release, as part of that winter release, will be the kind of initial steps. And some of those will be around kind of content creation and content alignment. So, your basic kind of stuff, make it longer, make it shorter, align it to my brand, tone of voice, rewrite it, all of those things you would expect. Those will come as part of the winter release. And then I think we'll start to expand that out as the vision increases, right? And the capability comes a bit closer. And so then you'll see like code block creation. You'll see full variant creation. You might see hypothesis and A/B testing generation, all as part of that expansion to meet those XM Cloud users where they are. So really enable them to build components, build forms, build pages, build sites, and really start to think about the user experience and be able to expand that out. That's really, really critical. I think you had Liz in here recently talking about the future of CMS. And so Liz is super focused on those kind of users and how we can enable those users. And so you'll see some of those co-pilots come out in the winter release, and then you'll see those expand over time. Same for Content Hub. So when we look at Content Hub, we're talking about things like image tagging and attribute tagging and searching for things, semantic searching. And you'll see that expand again over time, where we'll start to look at more content creation, more asset creation, more brand adherence work. And you'll also start to see deep search where, if you're one of our DAM customers, it can be, you might have thousands of images and you've got a new campaign coming up and you want to find the right asset. And so semantic search can really start to help you there as well, where you're starting to look at, actually, I'm looking for something that is, a cute puppy, but it understands that it's not just cute puppies, you're looking for pets, and actually you're looking for these other things, and it can start to bring in the content that you already have so you can reuse it. So I think when we think about generative AI, it's not always about generating, it is also about being efficient with what you have already. And importantly, the vast majority of our customers are XMXP customers, and so Stream will also be available to them. And so those capabilities that we've talked about for XM Cloud and Content Hub, also available for XP and XM customers, which is critical to our overall ambition of choice. And so, those customers, they don't have to move to the cloud. They don't have to move to XM Cloud. It's a matter of choice for them, but they're not excluded from this at all. They are very much included in kind of what we're doing here. And then, finally, we'll also see things like a new feature, which is pretty close to my heart, GenSights, which is the ability for us to understand the data that you have in Sitecore and be able to understand trends, anomalies, detect those things, highlight them to you, and make recommendations so that we're action-oriented as well. So it's a really jam-packed full release.
Yeah, there's a hell of an amount of content in there. And I think when you talk about that content, even when you were outlining the piece on semantic search there, like I know, for example, that one of our customers has almost 2 million assets in their repository in their digital asset management. So you kind of wonder what kind of use cases will be required, but the type of enterprises and the type of companies that Sitecore are working with in this space, the volume of data that they have is absolutely insane. So they need all of this capability to be able to work fast and to kind of utilize that brand book that they have, all of those existing brand assets, to be able to kind of reference those when it comes to creating new material and new assets as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, even if you look at Forrester, they'll tell you that 80% of content generation workflows are inefficient today. And so the creation of that content, the finding of that content, really, really difficult. And I think the important part of Stream is that kind of content creation and content adherence. But the other part of that, which I spoke about earlier, is around the collaboration. And so we really focus on that. How do we bring teams together to work better? And so, it's not just about that generation, but also, tagging your colleague and saying, actually, can you have a look for this? Or do you know where that is? Or can you have a look at this piece of content? Can you sign off this piece of content? Yeah. Getting those notifications. I think with the world as it is today, we're not sitting together like you and I are today. Most of the times, we're on a laptop in our homes, or we're dispersed. And so those collaboration features built into the products, really, really critical.
Yeah, I think you kind of touch on a point there that kind of strikes me as really important too, and that when you think I got a turnover in marketing teams almost, where the IP almost goes out the door. you're kind of moving away from that world now where you have people that knowledge of a previous campaign, the type of assets that might have been created by a designer in 2021 that maybe require a refresh that can be reused and be brought into the new world in 2025. I think that's absolutely crucial. Let's talk a little bit about the kind of conversations that you're having with some of our existing customers today, because obviously we're talking about early access for a lot of these folks, and we won't be able to necessarily name names in the same way we did with Nestle. But what kind of reaction are you getting to the new features that are being developed inside of Sitecore Stream at Sitecore?
So obviously we've Nestle, and we've been working with those guys for a very long time, and they've been a really supportive partner in that kind of early access program for us. But early access has been open since Symposium, right? So we have customers and partners jumping all over Brand Assistant and that kind of capability, the generation of brand aware AI and the kind of Brand Assistant chat interface, and that's kind of developed and evolved over time based on their feedback. And so what we showed at Symposium has evolved into this winter release. And so you're going to start to see kind of more collaborative working spaces within the chat. So it's not just a chat; it's actually a two-pane solution where you can have a notepad, where a note section where you're kind of a working space, and then a chat interface. And that's all based on kind of those evolving conversations. In the main, I think the vast majority of the feedback has been around the ease of implementation. And so when you first talk to people about implementing AI, they're really interested in prompt engineering. They're really interested in, well, how am I going to do all this? And when they actually get into the application of Stream and they create a brand kit and it's done within a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, there's a couple of questions, which is that it? And it's like, yeah, it's it. It's got it. And you can go in and you can edit some of those things, but that's it. Go off a chat and go generate content. And so, we've been talking to partners and customers and seeing the kind of blogs they're creating now that are kind of brand aware, that are aligned to their brand, that are formatted in their brand. We have case studies being generated. So some real value in that kind of content creation space. And when we think about making those efficiency gains for those customers, it's really critical. And they've been really, really excited. So I'm really excited to hear what they think and can share.
So Ru, it's obviously early in 2025. A lot of people from a personal perspective are trying to get in shape and really kind of get themselves ready for a big year. What are our customers doing to get in shape, getting ready for AI?
Yeah. That's actually been one of the really interesting aspects of early access, and people kind of want to get hands-on with AI and they really want to get involved in it. But, they come up against blockers, mostly internally on their side around, AI adoption. They haven't done the groundwork on policies. They don't have governance in place. They don't have like a company policy on how they're going to approach AI. And so I think when we think about getting in shape, if you listen to Dave, sometimes the CEO of Sitecore, he'll talk about, getting to the gym and going. And it's not, and to be able to get in shape, you kind of go to the gym the first day, but you don't come home and look at yourself in the mirror and be like, look what I've done, right? So it's a progress and you've got to improve, and it takes weeks and months. And so our customers who have been going through the early access program, they're in the same space. They sit there and they say, right, let's get ready for AI. Let's get in. And then they're like, okay, well, what's our policy around AI? What's our maturity around AI? What's our company position? And so I think a lot of those customers are now starting to think about those things. And we worked really, really hard on making sure that the adoption of Sitecore Stream into their company is as easy as possible. It's been in our contracts actually for the best part of last year as well. We have like an AI addendum, which is part of the contract. And that just is really clear, really plain spoken English around exactly what it is that we're offering and what it is we'll do with their data. And simplicity is one of our values over the last kind of year or so in Sitecore. And we've really tried to focus on making it simple. And that's actually been a credit to us. And most customers who've gone through that process have cited us and said, actually, you've actually been really easy to do business with when it comes to helping us understand what AI should be in our business. And so we work really, really hard on that kind of onboarding process for those customers, not onto Sitecore Stream, but on the first stages of their kind of AI journey. And so that's been really, really interesting. The second thing I think is investment, and not investment in AI, but investment in people. And so, a lot of people will talk about AI, but not a lot of people actually are curious enough about it. And even more people aren't even enabled on it. And so just understanding like, what are the options? What is there? What is generative AI as opposed to AI? Understanding what that means for you as a business user. And so can I upload this data? can I talk to this UI? What can I share with this GPT? What LLMs can I use? Can I not use? The majority of customers and their users especially are already using something. Now, it may not be company policy to use it, but it's already being used. And so investing in people is critical to be able to develop them out, because it's not going anywhere, and it needs to be invested in those user journeys. The last thing I would say is the investment in the infrastructure, and that probably comes last. Once you've chosen the platform that you want to be able to look at, is investing in that platform. And so we've built out this kind of scalable AI solution for our customers. So whether you are one of our smaller customers or you are a big gorilla like Nestle, we've kind of demonstrated that actually the AI that we're providing is a scalable, secure, trustworthy source of AI for your business. And that's really important for our customers, but also it's important for our partners, right? And so we're also building this AI capability so that it is available and it is built on our composable strategy, so that the APIs are there. And so if customers and partners want to build on top of it, you can absolutely do that with Sitecore. And that's where you really think about scalable versus walled gardens. And so if you've been a marketer over the last 20 years, you're very much aware of the data you send into some of those walled gardens. You don't necessarily get all that back out. So we really built it from the ground up in a composable way with APIs so that you can build your business on top of Sitecore.
Yeah, I think that always speaks to that kind of composable story. Like you say, tell us then a little bit, if we turn the camera a little bit towards the back end of 2025, and what does that vision look like for Sitecore Stream in the future? Touch on that a little bit more so people can kind of get a sense of how this is going to evolve over the course of the next 12 or 18 months in your view.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think work by Christmas next year there's going to be a tipping point at some point this year where I think work will be fundamentally different than it is today. And I think it's incumbent on all of us to get involved in that and define what that is for us and not let it be defined by other people. And so when we think about it, we think about those marketers and those technologists that we need to provide the power to build, right? And we need to be able to provide them the ability to create those customer experiences. And what's really important for us is that we can create that space for that marketing team to do the things that humans do really well. And that is the creativity. Humans love human connection, right? I think that's what they want. They wanted crafted storytelling. They want really impressive experiences. And that can only really be delivered right now by human thought, human creativity. So to make that space, we need to remove the redundant tasks. We need to take those things and those things over to a co-pilot. That co-pilot does the majority of the lifting, and the human is there to sign off on those things. They're there to make sure that those things are all consistent. And over time, as I said, with the workflows and the agentic workflows, I think some of those things are going to get chained together. And so there will be a time where you say, actually, I need to do 5 things, and those things you'll ask a co-pilot to do those things. It'll go off and do those 5 things, and it'll come back to you.
It's going to build you your brief. It's going to create the content. It's going to get it into production, ready to go for you to press go. You think it's going that way?
Exactly. And with that time, then you can say, actually, I can get my campaign out the door much quicker, right? So the majority of marketers today, they spend probably about 80% of their time in the back half of content generation, sign off, approval, publishing, and maybe 20% in the creative part of that. When we talk to customers, especially in the EA process, they're looking for that fun element. They want to be on whiteboards. They want to be brainstorming together. They want to be talking about their brand and what it means and what the ideas are, and then be able to execute those much quicker. And so we know that really personalized experiences, they drive big engagement for customers. They can drive improvements in conversion rates, 30, 40, 50%. And so how do we get more of that? The way we get more of that is going through faster cycles. So faster cycles of content generation, faster cycles of content publishing, and getting those experiences out the door. So enabling the dynamicism of those process and workflows to change so that people spend more time on the creative stuff. I think that's probably going to happen at some point this year, that people really start to see their day-to-day change slightly, maybe change dramatically, depending on what's going to come out. I mean, who knows what co-pilots will be available towards the back half of that next year. But what I am certain about is that Sitecore, the tools that we're developing today, the platform that we're developing today is built for that future, is built for those workflows, is built for that agentic support, built for those copilots, all kind of couched by that brand aware AI to make sure that it's all generated in a brand compliant way.
The one that I'm really excited about, Rue, is this idea of kind of variant creation and real personalization on a website. You know, you and I have been working in the marketing space long enough to know that the kind of promise of personalization has always been out there and talked about for many, many years now. But I think when you get into marketing teams, be able to create these different variants for different audiences, I think that's where you're going to see a massive boost in conversion for these people who are fast, get into this type of technology really, really quickly and start to see the benefits.
Yeah, I think for the past 4 years, we've been talking about this concept of marketing technologists being the real linchpin of a highly efficient marketing team. And one of the things that I'm quite excited about is code creation. And I think that's always been almost kind of locked away from the marketer. They can't get those things onto the website because it requires a developer. It requires those briefs to be created for something to be created for you, and then to go and implement that on your website, or have someone else implement it on your website.
Yeah,
and I think with the creation of code or variants of code, that really changes the game for those kind of components on your website. So you can say, I like that component. That's great. How about we swap the button over to the other side? How about we change the image? How about we make it a bit longer, a bit shorter, change the color? How about we have 5 variations of this? How about we run an A/B test to see what works? Those things could have taken weeks. And for, the highly efficient businesses of the world in the last 10 years, they've been able to turn those things around in days.
Yeah.
And I think the enablement of those marketers and those technologists to build with Sitecore, with those content component generations, component variations that you said, and then get an A/B test out the door, test it, see what happens, see what the improvement in conversion is a huge opportunity, and something that I'm particularly passionate about. Also, app creation. I can't tell you the amount of people who are now sending me apps, sending me new little things they've built using some of the tools available in the marketplace today. It's really quite inspiring, the creativity that people are coming up with.
And I think the speed of that creation is going to be huge as well this year. Rue, it's been amazing talking to you this morning, getting all the insights from the journey, from how we've gotten into AI, the build out of Sitecore Stream, its launch, its symposium, and how it's going to evolve in 2025. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks very much for having me, Sean.
Everybody follow us on LinkedIn and keep your eye on sitecore.com for more of these interview series, for more on digital visionaries, and of course, that big winter release.